75401 Ahsoka's Jedi Interceptor. It'll cost $45 and has 290 pieces. The box, of course, has the standard black box with orange stripe design that most of the LEGO Star Wars sets have, with the space battle in the background. So moving on to the minifigure selection for this set, it's going to have 3 minifigures. A new Anakin Skywalker based off the Clone Wars Season 4 and 5, a new Ahsoka Tano based off the Clone Wars Season 4 and 5, and a new R7A7 astromech droid who unfortunately doesn't have a back print. All these new minifigures are quite good. The R7A7 has a very nice red and green color scheme. The Ahsoka Tano minifigure has a lot of great detailing, and the Anakin Skywalker minifigure, of course, is also good with the Jedi robe details. Overall, I would say that this is a decent minifigure selection, but for a $45 set, it should have been better. I don't want to spend too much time ranting about how this set is overpriced, so we're just going to push that closer to the end of talking about this set. So the details to mention about this set, it's basically just a standard Jedi Interceptor design with a nice and accurate color scheme based off the actual ship. It has an unfortunate abundance of stickers for a $45 set, unfortunately. The wing flaps can go up and down, and it has a section to place R7A7 inside of. It also has some loaded shoes. Now, it has a new cockpit piece, which is one section instead of the accurate 2, which is an unfortunate step backwards in the set's design. The Jedi Interceptor is supposed to have a cockpit piece, which is 2 pieces, one on the front and one on the big one on top, which you can see here in this picture, which is supposed to release from one on the bottom, one on the top, of course. But they've changed the design to be the only one piece, which is very disappointing since they had it accurate before. So I don't know why they would change it to be less accurate now. So overall, I would say that this set is overpriced and it's unfortunately less accurate than a lot of other Jedi Interceptors. I would wait for a sale to buy it or just not buy it at all. It's not particularly better than any other Jedi Interceptor that LEGO have made, and if you already have one, unless you really want the minifigures here, you should probably avoid getting it with how overpriced it is. Moving on from that now, we have the 75402 ARC-170 Starfighter. It'll cost $70 and have 497 pieces. It has some amazing box art. It shows the battle over Cato Nemoidia from Revenge of the Sith. It even shows Plo Koon's Starfighter being shot down in the background after Order 66, which is kind of an insane detail for LEGO to include, since they usually try to steer clear of things like that, which could be, which could be construed as more violent than usual for LEGO sets. So the box, of course, is just a standard black box with orange stripe design. There's not much to write home about there. Overall, it's a pretty good box, and yeah, it's probably one of the best boxes they've released. One of the best boxes they've released for Star Wars in 2025 so far. So the minifigures in this set are a new Oddball, who is a clone pilot from Revenge of the Sith, a new Captain Jag, who is a clone pilot from Revenge of the Sith and Plo Koon's wingman who shot him down during Order 66, a generic clone pilot, and then a new R4P44 astromech droid with a really cool green and white color scheme, but who unfortunately doesn't have any back prints. All three of these clone pilots are pretty similar except for the colors on the helmets, and I have to say that they're all really good minifigures. The torso prints are all amazing, and the new helmet that LEGO designed for them is also great. The face print with the visor as well is amazing too. Unfortunately though, they don't have dual molded legs, which would have put them over the top as phenomenal minifigures, but the prints on the legs are still decent, and I think it all rounds out to this being a pretty good minifigure selection. So details to mention here, it's a beautifully updated design. It's more compact than the previous version, but still detailed and well built. It has a nice and accurate color scheme of white with red and gray accents. The engines themselves have new and more accurate front pieces and ion thrusters on the back of them. There's a lever near the ion thrusters that you can switch to put the ARC-170's wings into flight mode. It appears that we have another new person who joined the stream. Greetings to Milo Cloverfeld. Hello. But now we're going to continue. But now we're going to continue with the video talking about the ARC-170. So as I was saying, there's a lever on the back of the ARC-170 which you can push to push the 4 of the ARC-170's wings out into flight mode. The ARC-170 has 2 spring-loaded shooters, which here on the wingtips that do look a bit clunky. However, they're not that bad, I would say. There's other sets which have the spring-loaded shooters which look absolutely horrible with just giant chunks of pieces added onto the tips of wings to make them fit. However, with the blasters already on the end of the ARC-170, it doesn't make too much of a difference with the spring-loaded shooters added in. So the ARC-170 has 3 cockpits for the 3 pilots. Each one opens up into a very nice tan detailing on the interior, and then we can also see all the printed control panels all around the interior, which would look cool as well. So overall, I would say that this set is kind of overpriced with a very good design and minifigures. Uh, at full price, buying it isn't horrible. However, you would preferably wait until it's at a 20% off sale to get it. For the full price, like I said earlier, it's not a very bad buy like the Ahsoka's Jedi Interceptor. However, you should probably wait until it's 20% off to buy it, since $70 is a really steep price. So moving on to our next set now, we have the 75403 Buildable Grogu with Hoverpram. It'll cost $100 and have 1,048 pieces. The box art is a very nice background of Arvala 7, which is where the Mandalorian found Grogu, and it just has a standard black box with the orange stripe as well. With the Mandalorian and Grogu, you can see down in the bottom left corner. The details, it has a lot of cool details. It has a cool side builds. The Grogu minifigure in the new Pram looks very cool. The metal ball that Grogu stole from the Mandalorian ship, and some blue cookies as well. And the frog that unfortunately ended up as Grogu's lunch is here as well. And then, of course, we have a stand with information about Grogu, which hilariously just says unknown for most of the sections since we know nothing about Grogu's species. So we'll just have the definition of what it's supposed to be here: unknown, unknown, and unknown, which, like I said earlier, is hilarious. Moving on to the builds for the set now. First, starting off with the Pram, it's phenomenally built. The panels and sections fit perfectly like a puzzle, which is amazing to do with square pieces and on a spherical shape. It has accurate colors and detailing, and if we go check out the interior, it's brown. It's a brown, mostly tiled interior with some studs to latch Grogu into. Overall, it's just an amazing build and great to see here. Segueing seamlessly to talking about Grogu, pun intended, his design is also phenomenal. He has a perfect head-to-body ratio and an accurate robe color with light brown cuffs and neckties. Is it a necktie? A neck section. We'll call it a neck section. He has accurate robe colors with the light brown cuffs and neck section, and he also has manually controlled hands, which you can open and close, which is really cool. On the back, of course, we have gears to move his arms, which is another cool addition. And then his head is perfectly shaped and can move left and right, and the ears can move up and down, which all makes for an amazing Grogu buildable character. Overall, this is just a set with an amazing build, a decent price, and at full price, I would say that is probably worth buying. A lot more than the other 2 sets we talked about. So far, I would rate this as the best set of the year. Checking the comment section again, we have a new comment from Milo Cloverfelt. I'm sorry I didn't get to it earlier. The ARC-170 is one of my favorite fighters in Star Wars. I'm really glad they made a new one. I agree, the ARC-170 is a great ship in Star Wars, and it's one of my favorite ships as well, so it's really great to see them making a new one after so many years. Moving on from the ARC-170 and Grogu now, who we just finished talking about, we now have the 75404 Midiscale Acclamator class assault ship. It'll cost $50 and has 450 pieces. The box art is just a black box with the red hue behind the Acclamator. Apologies for the misspoken words there. And it's just a standard boring 18+ box art. It's not bad, but it's not really good either. It's just a standard, so we'll just move on from that because it's quite average box art, I would say. So moving on to the details of this set, it has no minifigures, which is of course the standard, but is unfortunate since probably an admiral, some sort of named admiral, I can't think of any right now, would have been great to get in an Acclamator class assault ship. Maybe they could have added in Mace Windu potentially based off the battle over Ryloth from season 1 of the Clone Wars. That would have been amazing to get here, but that's just me throwing out ideas. That would never happen on the mini-scale sets because unfortunately LEGO don't put any minifigures in them. So moving on to the rest of the details though, it has a cleanly built stand with a printed name plaque tile, and the ship itself is shockingly small for $50, being only 23 centimeters or 9 inches long by 15 centimeters or 6 inches tall with stand included. Ignoring the price and the size though, the build is good. The dimensions are a bit off, but there's great detailing. The interior space included has Easter eggs of clone troopers, and there is some blocky detailing on the set and some slight inaccuracies with the bridge. And there's, of course, the unfortunate use of stickers we can see here with the set costing so much but being so little. So you would think that they would at least make every piece printed, but unfortunately they put in stickers. So overall, it's not a bad set. It's pretty good, actually, but it's extremely overpriced. I would wait for a sale to buy it, or just maybe don't buy it at all. Or, at least wait until it goes on 20-40% off, because this is a really overpriced set for a very tiny ship. This is also a thought that I was thinking. Uh, a lot of these mini scale sets have hollow interiors with some small Easter eggs in them, which are cool to see. However, with the hollow interior, that just makes me think that doesn't that just make them have less value to them? You would think that if they had the full interior, that they might be worth a little more. But with the empty interiors, then with Lego making them cost this much, that's kind of just ridiculous. Now that I'm done rambling about that, though, we can move on to our next set, which is the 75405 Home-One Midiscale Home-One Star Cruiser. The Midiscale Home-One Star Cruiser will cost $70 and has 559 pieces. The box art consists of a black box with a green hue in the background, and just like the Midiscale Acclamator, it's just a standard 18 plus box art, nothing too exciting, nothing that's bad, nothing that's good really, so we'll just move on from that. It has no minifigures, of course, which is disappointing since this would have been an amazing opportunity to get a new Admiral Akbar, but hopefully we will get an Akbar at some point in the near future, since he's a great character, of course. It has a cleanly built stand, as usual with these mini-scale sets, with the printed name plaque tile piece that says Home-One Star Cruiser. Not too much to write home about there, but what there is a lot to talk about is how it's outrageously small for $70. Being similar in size to the already overpriced mini-scale Invisible Hand, which only cost $50 in comparison to the $70 Home-One. As you can see, they're basically identical in size from all these pictures. The the Home-One is 14 centimeters or 5.5 inches long and 33 oh, excuse me, I got the dimensions wrong. The Invisible Hand is 14 centimeters or 5.5 inches tall and 33 centimeters or 13 inches long, with stand included, which is ridiculously small. You would expect that for such a high price that the Home-One would at least be a little bit bigger, but with it being this small in comparison to the Invisible Hand, which we just talked about, but costing $20 more, which is, if I did my calculations correctly, that's around a 33 to 40% price. Absolutely ridiculous, especially when we just got the Invisible Hand earlier this year. So Lego don't even have the excuse of inflation for this one, so it's very disappointing to see them raise the price that much. Ignoring the price for now, though, the build is very good considering the abstract design that the Home-One has. We can see with all the gray tiling on the outside, it's put together very well, and Lego added in some color with creative license to make the design more lively. It has a cool Nebula B frigate micro build over here as well, which is nice to see. It has an interior representing docking bays with translucent blue pieces, which are a nice inclusion as well. However, like I mentioned earlier, since the interior is hollow, shouldn't the set be costing less since there's almost nothing in the inside? Overall, I'd say that this set is outrageously overpriced, and you shouldn't. It has an okay build, but the price is just ridiculous. You shouldn't buy it unless it's 40% off or so, but yeah, that's all there is to say about it. It's extremely overpriced and very disappointing to see a set cost so much. Moving on to our final set of the January 2025 wave, we have the 75410 4 Plus Mando and Grogu's N-1 Starfighter, which will cost $30 and have 92 pieces. The box art has a nice Tatooine desert background inside of a docking bay. It has the standard black box with red or orange stripe as well, with the 4 Plus logo in the corner. The minifigures included here are a reused Mandalorian and Darksaber, a reused Grogu with his pram, and a new R5D4 minifigure, which is a great one to get and may help sales among original trilogy fans due to his bit part role in A New Hope. Of course, the part where R5 shows up is very iconic since that's where Uncle Owen and Luke buy R2-D2, so this minifigure is great to be getting for the first time ever, and like I said, it could help fuel sales. Moving on to the details of the ship, it has a small prime build and a fuel pipe build. The N-1 Starfighter itself is blocky and not much of a good build. In some places, it looks like an actual block. It has 2 cockpits that open to 2 seats for Grogu and the Mandalorian, and some decent build techniques near the front, as we can tell from here. Overall, this is an overpriced set. It's poorly built, and it's disappointing. To see a set marketed towards. Unfortunately, it's overpriced. It's poorly built, and it's disappointing to see a set marketed towards young children. This bad when Lego have made much better ones in the past. I remember when I was little, of course, Lego released some 4 Plus sets, or maybe not that long ago. Time is a little bit hard to keep track of. A long time ago, though, Lego made 4 Plus sets and sets marketed towards children, which were still easy to build, but were much better than this. So it's disappointing to see how poorly built this is. So that is all the. Oh well, of course I have to give my final opinion on the wave so far. So for the January wave, my final opinion on it overall, to sum it all up, is that the standards of builds for the most part is high as per usual, but many of the prices are ridiculously high as well, especially the Ahsoka Tano's Jedi Interceptor and the Midiscale Home-One. Overall, it's a mixed bag with some amazing sets, but an equal amount of overpriced and not so good sets. So, all right, everyone, that's everything we have to talk about for the January wave of 2025 LEGO Star Wars sets. Make sure to tell me your thoughts on it in the comment section down below.